Hi, this is Desalini. Yeah, I've done guitars, I've done basses. I guess now I have to do drums. And honestly, even having played in a band, drums, they're still a little bit of a mystery to me. Yeah, I couldn't describe what a paradiddle was if you paid me. So yeah, I've chosen 20 of my favourite drummers. All the usual rules I've used so far will apply. So I'm looking at punk, post-punk, indie, alternative drummers. I'm valuing ideas, taste and execution over technique. I'm looking at style, feel, contribution. So these won't be technically the greatest drummers of all time, but they will be some of my favorites. The list will be unranked, no particular order. I'm going to go through these quite quickly because I'll have less kind of technical stuff to add. So first on my list, I have Clem Burke. Yeah, very well travelled. He's played and recorded with tons of people over the years. He's played with Iggy, the Ramones, the Eurythmics. He even played with Brick Smith in the Adult Net for a while, and Bob Dylan. But the reason he's here is because he drummed for Blondie. I think that should be enough. Yeah, a very big, brash, bold, pretty kind of able player. Yeah, very strong kind of Keith Moon vibes a lot of the time. And yeah, if you really just want an example, just listen to Dreaming by Blondie. It is one of the greatest songs, one of the greatest singles of the kind of new wave period. And yeah, it's an absolute masterclass in drums as a lead instrument. The drums take the lead in that song, take it places it wouldn't go otherwise. An amazing song. Second up, I've got Steve Shelley of Sonic Youth. Some Sonic Youth fans really rate Bob Burt, the drummer in Sonic Youth's kind of earlier period. I will agree that Bob Burt's got a really cool sound, but it's just that that's his sound. He's got kind of one signature sound, I think. And Steve is Mr. Versatility. He can do those kind of deconstructed, washy kind of drumming behind the kind of loose jams things. He can do a really tight kind of punk rock style. I mean, think of the drumming in Silver Rocket from Daydream Nation. And, he can do kind of groovier, more kind of percussive, interesting rhythmic stuff. He'll use maracas and brushes and all sorts of other things. I think he's a great drummer. And crucially, I think, he is the right drummer, or was the right drummer for Sonic Youth. Okay, third up, I've got Doug Sharin. Yeah, he's drummed in several of my favourite bands of the last 20 years or thereabouts. I'm talking Codeine. I'm talking June of 44. I'm talking Rex, amongst many others. Yeah, I mean, just zero in on Codeine there as an example. It takes a lot of skill and application to play as slowly and accurately as Codeine were asking of him. And he was completely up to that. Yeah, a very tight, very dynamic, very inventive drummer. Yeah, fourth up, I've got Georgia Hubley of Yo La Tengo. Yeah, very much, I think, like Steve Shelley in Sonic Youth. She's got the ability to do lots of different things. She can do the kind of the freeform kind of stuff they do, the velvety kind of, long kind of drawn out explorations. But they can drop into a kind of sweeter, more wistful, kind of dreamy pop mode, think something like Autumn Sweater. And yeah, she's just able to do it all. Plus, of course, she sings. Great voice, great counterpart to Ira Kaplan. Yeah, Georgia. Yeah, don't overlook her. So next up at number 5 on my list, I've got Brendan Canty, primarily of Fugazi, but you may know him from, Rites of Spring, One Last Wish, Happy Go Licky. Yeah, I think Brendan developed, as the rest of Fugazi did, from, that very kind of controlled, tight, angsty, hardcore punk sound into something much more looser, more expressive, more experimental. Yeah, very good with the kind of the twisty, inventive little drum patterns. Yeah, bonus points for cool use of, a massive bell as part of his kit. Great use of, non-standard percussion there. So next up and 6th on my list, I've got Sebastian Thompson of Trans Am. And Baroness. Yeah, Trans Am, great band. And he's a great drummer. Very slick, very complex, tricksy kind of style. He manages to kind of work that rockier style that he's got around some of Trans Am's weirder tendencies, that thing they had with going for like 80s kind of synth, prog, even kind of smooth, heaven forbid, yacht rock kind of, textures, experiments. Yeah, he just drops into that with ease. Yeah, no drums with Baroness, who aren't really my thing, but, if you do listen to them, yeah, Seb's drums just pop out straight away. So at number 7 on my list, I've got Sean Kirkpatrick of Swell. Yeah, I've talked at great length above about swell and the huge role that Sean's drums play in the sound and feel of the band. Very kind of loose-limbed, uniquely kind of slurred, kind of dragging sound. It's unlike any other drum sound I've heard, I have to say. Yeah, it was up there a second ago. Just check out my Swell video about their album 41 for more details. But yeah, he's just a really great, idiosyncratic, but instantly recognizable drummer. So number 8, I've got Charles Haywood of mostly This Heat. Yeah, Charles cut his teeth in the kind of the early 70s kind of Canterbury prog rock scene. He played with Phil Manzanera, who'd go on to play in Roxy Music, in his band, his project called Quiet Sun. Yeah, but really, it's Charles's work with This Heat and the splinter group that kind of followed This Heat called Camberwell Now that I most strongly associate him with. Saying that, he's a truly progressive drummer. Yeah, jazzy tendencies. He can kind of slip into a very tribal kind of groove or dial things back into, that kind of spooky, atmospheric, percussive kind of explorations. Or at the same time, he can just pile straight into a kind of a very harsh kind of sort of proto-industrial kind of drumming style. Yeah, Charles, he's a bit of a drumming kind of genius, really. Yeah, tons of experimental kind of solo stuff he does. And he's always collaborating and doing one-offs with various interesting artists. Oh, and before I forget, yeah, he sings too. Yeah, that's Charles Haywood. So number 9, I've got Stella Mosgawa of Warpaint. Yeah, Stella's Australian, born and raised, but, she hooked up with Warpaint in Los Angeles via an introduction from Flea. Also, I didn't realise, who has Australian roots. Yeah, very good tight drummer. She's got a very kind of bouncy, kind of feely style of drummer. Seems to have just, great instincts for the right thing to play at the right time. Yeah, just very cool. And also, a regular friend and contributor, collaborator with some of my kind of favourite solo musicians of recent years. I did talk about them in my kind of 21st Century Artists video, but yeah, she's played on records by Kurt Weill and Kate LeBon, both of which I love. So 10th on the list, I have Jim White of the Dirty Three. Again, I'm going to plug one of those other videos. Yeah, I did talk about the Dirty Three in my Unusual Lineups video. But Jim, yeah, very, very cool, fantastic, kind of impressionistic. He's an artist on the drums, if you like. Yeah, he appears very loose, but very responsive to what's going on around him. And very, very physical. I saw him play live backing up Nina Nastasia a few years back now. And seriously, watching him play, his movements were like watching, waves bash across the drum kit. Very, very cool. So 11, I've got Bruce Mitchell of the Durruti Column, amongst many, many others. Yeah, Bruce is a legend of the Manchester music scene, and believe it or not, he is now 82 years old. Yeah, Bruce is the kind of the jazz-centered kind of foil to the Durruti Column's Vinnie Riley. And when I say jazz, I mean jazz. Literally, look for some videos of him playing. Yeah, kind of a wonderful kind of brush style he's got. In all honesty, I've never seen someone so obviously enjoying the thrill of playing and responding to another musician as I got when I saw Bruce and Vinnie combined together. Yeah, he's just magic. At 12, I've got Stephen Morris of Joy Division and New Order. So yeah, another Manchester legend here, and a post-punk legend, I think. Stephen's definitely one of the key innovators in bringing kind of drums, live acoustic drums and electronic programmed beats together, successfully. Yeah, you think of his sound, he's got that, unique kind of, machine gun kind of hi-hat thing he does. And also, a very big kind of innovator when it came to that kind of tom heavy sound that you got with, the earlier post-punk stuff. Certainly in Joy Division, you hear it a lot. Yeah, a drumming legend and, super, super influential. At 13, yeah, I've got another post-punk legend here, and that's Budgie of the Banshees and the Creatures. And like Stephen Morris, yeah, all about the tom-toms. It's that classic kind of goth, kind of post-punk drumming style. Very interesting kind of tribal sound. Very interesting, odd, offbeat kind of drum patterns. You think most of the big hits of the Banshees, think Happy House, Spellbound, Christine. They've all got something interesting going on in the drums. Yeah, Budgie's drumming style's very hooky. There's always something there that catches your ear. Yeah, very cool. So at 14, I've got Adam Wade of Shudder to Think and Jawbox. Yeah, I won't talk for too long about Adam. He's just a really great, very technical post-hardcore drummer. Yeah, you can look at my video where I talk about Pony Express record by Shudder to Think if you want a few more details about his time with them. Yeah, very hard-hitting, very propulsive, driving drummer, but, you know, he's still got enough, you know, technical skill to keep on top of the complexity of the music that he's being asked to contribute to. Yeah, 15, I've got Janet Weiss of Sleater-Kinney, Quasi and Slang. Yeah, a very, very gifted, very inventive rock drummer with, you know, quite a reputation in drumming circles as just being one of the best. Yeah, as well as the bands I mentioned before, she was also spent some time in Steve Marcus's Jix over the course of a couple of their albums. Yeah, she's no longer with Sleater-Kinney, but she drums in the band Slang now and is also part of the kind of the drums and the keys, guitar, whatever duo called Quasi. Yeah, Janet's just a great drummer. 16, I've got Todd Trainer of Shellac, amongst others. Yeah, Todd is a monstrous drummer. He really channels a very heavy kind of John Bonham, Led Zeppelin rock style, but with an incredible kind of feel for, you know, space and timing in his music. Yeah, the gaps between every, you know, third and every snap, you know, in the drums in Shellac's music are as important as, you know, the clang and the spit that you get from that bass and from the guitar. Yeah, Todd is a brilliant drummer and he's a real character too. So at 17, I have Peter Prescott of Mission of Burma. Yeah, like Todd and like Janet, there's nowhere to hide in a trio. So the drums, yeah, they have to carry quite a lot. And Peter does that very capably in Mission of Burma. Yeah, as well as being, you know, a very good drummer, he also sings and contributes songs to the band. Just a great kind of knotty, you know, forward punk rock kind of style, but a healthy kind of shot of, you know, some of the post-punk kind of feel, you know, some of that creativity thrown in there, I think. Yeah, Peter's a real kind of in it for life musician, always looking to mix things up and, you know, just to keep creating, keep moving forwards. Yeah, check out Peter's latest band. They're called Mini Beast. Okay, and now for the kind of the sad part of this list. The following three drummers, the final on this list, have all passed away in the last few months. But quite honestly, they would have all made this list, you know, no matter what. So I just want to concentrate for the time being on celebrating them and their music. So number 18, I've got D.H. Peligro of the Dead Kennedys. Yeah, D.H. was one of the few black punk musicians in that kind of early 80s hardcore scene, you know, alongside maybe Bad Brains. Yeah, and he's just a punk rock drumming legend. You know, he's the backbone of that kind of surf punk chaos of the Dead Kennedys sound. Very fast, very hard, very precise, utterly relentless. Yeah, DH was only 63 and died in quite unfortunate circumstances, it sounds like. So, yeah, it's a real tragedy. Number 19, I've got Anton Fier of, well, many bands. Yeah, you want a list. Start with Pere Ubu, the Feelies, the Lounge Lizards. And, of course, his own band, this kind of super group called the Golden Palominos. Yeah, the Palominos featured kind of a rotating cast of, you know, all-star members. At various points, John Lydon, Michael Stipe, Sid Straw, all sung in the Golden Palominos. Richard Thompson, Bob Mould all played guitar. And yeah, on a personal note, mentioning Bob Mould, it's his time in that first kind of iteration of Bob Mould's backing band, just called the Bob Mould Band, is the one that really resonates most strongly with me. The two albums he contributed to, Bob Mould's first solo album, Workbook, and the follow-up Black Sheets of Rain, are just immense records. Yeah, Anton was just a superbly fluent and kind of full rock drummer. Yeah, very sadly, Anton chose to die via assisted suicide. He was only 66. No terminal conditions to speak of, but according to his own doctors, he stated very clearly that he had accomplished everything he could in life and wanted to end it on his own terms. So that is that. And lastly, at number 20, we have Mimi Parker of Low. Yeah, this is the really really difficult one. So I'm going to be talking about Low in my 90s Overlooked Underheard series very, very soon. So I'm not going to kind of try and append a full tribute to this list to Mimi, because I feel like I'd like to talk about Mimi maybe at a bit more length and in the context of her and Alan's music. And honestly, I really haven't felt up to talking about her until now, a few weeks after her death. But yeah, first and foremost, this is a list celebrating great, cool, distinctive drummers, and that's what I'm focusing on. Yeah, in all my other videos, I've hammered on these kind of concepts of ideas and taste and execution. And honestly, without even touching on Mimi's wonderful voice, I couldn't come up with a better embodiment of those concepts than Mimi Parker. Mimi used a spare, very stripped down drum kit, usually played with brushes or soft mallets, beaters. A very economical style with these kind of very pulsing heartbeat-like patterns, giving room and space for her and Alan's vocals and their harmonies to kind of fill and develop the sound. But she could occasionally weigh in with these big, cavernous hits, which sound so much bigger and even more dramatic in the context of this quite quiet music. Think songs like Dinosaur Act, or in The Lamb, a great track from their album Trust, or the track Canada. Yeah, just supremely sensitive, very tasteful, very soulful playing that served and was an integral part of the music that Low created. Yeah, so thanks to Mimi, and love to Alan, the children, all her family and friends. I will talk more about Mimi the next time I upload a video. So there you have it, a list of 20, in my opinion, great drummers. As I said, I'm no great shakes behind the kit. So most of these decisions have been made on, what I hear them contributing to the music and, how much that kind of stands out. As always, many thanks for watching. And yeah, especially if you've, commented or liked, or even if you've subscribed. Okay, that's all for this video. I hope to see you again soon. Bye for now.